Hi friends, Joe from McClear Law Office, Oshkosh Elder Law and Estate Planning. Welcome to the Basics of Long-Term Care in Wisconsin, a seminar put on in conjunction with the University of Wisconsin at Oshkosh Learning and Retirement Series. If you want to learn more about the Learning and Retirement Series and their upcoming programs, they have a website that is way too long for me to remember, but if you just Google Oshkosh Learning and Retirement, it is the first link to come up. Here's a little bit about me. I've been practicing exclusively in the areas of elder law and estate planning for about the last 6 years. I've been an attorney for 11 years. I'm a member of a number of these organizations here at the bottom, which are focused in the areas of long-term care planning and estate planning, if you want to learn more about them. Couple of disclaimers up front. What we'll be talking about today is specific to Wisconsin. I'm only licensed in Wisconsin. The information that you hear today in these segments could be similar to what would be true in the UP or Illinois or Minnesota, but are only good for sure in Wisconsin. Viewing this video does not make me your attorney or you my client. You have to pay for that. And this is an introductory video. Long-term care and long-term care planning, very, very vast areas that takes a good long time to get a good handle of. No one's going to be made an expert from watching this seminar. The best thing to do to learn more about them and to get a long-term care plan in place is to talk to a professional, and that would be an experienced elder law attorney. So this seminar will be divided up into 3 videos to make it a little more digestible. We'll be covering 2 segments in each video. So the first segment we'll be covering here is how prevalent is the need for long-term care? In other words, why should you care about this? Well, here's the startling statistics we'll start off with. For folks who are 65 or older in this country, there is about a 70% chance that you will require some form of long-term care at some point in the future, and that's directly from the United States Department of Health and Human Services. So if it's 70% for an individual, that means for a couple, say a married couple, both of whom are over 65, there'd be about a 91% chance that at least one of you will require long-term care at some point in the future, and just under a 50% chance that you will both require long-term care in the future. Not only do you have to worry about your own age, you have to be cognizant of the fact that we are becoming older as a society in general. In the 2010 census, according to that data, we just, turned in our 2020 census, but we don't have that data yet. But in 2010, about 13.7% of the Wisconsin population was 65 or older. If you look out to future projections to 20 years from now, 2040, that number is going to increase. That percent is going to increase to just under a quarter of the population, 23.7%. And that's a total of about 1.5 million people. The overall population of Wisconsin will increase about 15% or thereabouts. But as you can see, this is going to be an increase of over 90% of folks who are 65 and older. And for folks who are 85 and older, when you look back at 2010, there was about 2.1% of the population was 85 and older. But in 2040, that's going to be more than double, to 4.4%, to just under 300,000 people are going to be 85 and older in the state. And with age, you have to be concerned with certain things, including dementia and Alzheimer's. In 2015, as you see here, just under 2% of the population was estimated to have some form of dementia, so about 1 in 50 Wisconsin residents. But in 2040, that's going to increase greatly to there's going to be just under 250,000 people in the state suffering from some form of dementia, and that would be about 3.7% of the population. So we go from about 1 in 50 to about 1 in 27. So what does this mean? It means that if you're 65 or older, you may very well need long-term care in the future. In fact, the odds are you will, but there may not be a bed for you. You may ask yourself, why, if the demand is there, the supply would certainly increase. But unfortunately, as I'll cover at the end of the seminar, you'll see that that's not necessarily the case. Okay, the next section here, we're going to be talking about the different levels of long-term care available to residents in Wisconsin. The first option, staying at home with an at-home caregiving service. This is the preferable option for most folks. They don't have to go anywhere. They can stay where they want to stay. The caregivers will come to you for a couple hours a day, maybe a couple times a week, up to round-the-clock care, 24/7 care. That second option, that second extreme, is pretty untenable for reasons that I'll explain in a little bit. Caregivers can be professionals, in which case you'll definitely be paying them, or they can be family members, in which case you can pay them, but maybe they won't ask you to pay them. At-home caregiving, receiving care at home and staying at home may not be realistic for really two reasons. The first of all, the environment. The home may not be the best place for an individual who needs care to reside. If the home is not built, does not have the amenities that make it easy for a person with mobility issues or other issues to reside there, that could be a problem. We could be talking about somebody who's living in a very large farmhouse or just a large house in general with a lot of steps, with a lot of space to go to travel through. You can always fix up a residence, fix up the bathrooms or fix up the stairs to make it more livable for folks with mobility issues, but that can be quite expensive and it's not an option for many people. Also, as I mentioned, when you get to the 24/7 care, the cost of at-home caregiving will far exceed the cost of any assisted living facility and any nursing home. Staying at home can be absolutely the most expensive option if you need a large amount of care. And for many people, that just becomes, they can't work with that type of costs. Assisted living would be the next step up. Now, there are actually three different levels of assisted living in this state. The first would be adult daycare. Then we'll be talking about residential care apartment complex, or RCAC, and community-based residential facilities, or CBRFs. These are all different levels of licensure through the state. So first of all, adult daycare. This is actually for folks who live at home. They still stay at home. They have caregivers come into their house. In this case, it would likely be family members who take care of them, but can't all the time. Perhaps they still work. So during the day, what do you do with mom or dad? The participants, they live at home, but they go to these facilities for a couple hours, up to several hours during the day, when their at-home providers are unavailable. RCACs, this are just pretty much apartment living, very, very independent. I've got a chance to tour several facilities in the Oshkosh area and in the Appleton area, and many of them are very, very nice, nicer than several of the apartments I've lived in throughout my life. My late grandmother, who passed last year, spent the bulk of their last decade in an RCAC, and it's a very nice facility, similar to just a one-room apartment. The care provided available to residents of an RCAC is limited to 28 hours a week. So if there's a need for more care, then an RCAC would not be the best choice to reside in. And here we talk about for folks with memory issues, with Alzheimer's and dementia, we would not be recommending an RCAC. Then we'd be looking at the next step up, the highest level of care for assisted living facilities, that'd be the CBRF. As I said, it's a step up from the RCAC. It's more appropriate for folks who have Alzheimer's or dementia. You can get more than 28 hours of care available to you in any given week. Up to 3 hours a week can be nursing care, which would be care with an RN. But for folks who need even more nursing care available, then naturally be going to the next step, which would be a skilled nursing facility, or more commonly known as a nursing home. So this would be for folks who need access to round-the-clock nursing care. Most nursing facilities also have offer rehabilitation services. So what we'd be talking about here is somebody who went to the hospital for a physical ailment or a mental ailment and ideally can get home eventually, but the hospital did all the work they're going to do, but they are not able to go home yet. They have to have rehabilitation services. And so a lot of the skilled nursing facilities will provide rehabilitation services. So that brings us to the end of the second section. So we'll bring up the third in part 2 of this seminar in the next video.